Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. Well, it seems like I lost the bet with my co host on the firing of Nathaniel Hackett. Um, so kudos goes to my host for calling it. I thought the ownership was sick and tired of listening to their front office that they inherited, making, having to write more checks out, to people sitting on the couch. So, at any rate, that that didn't happen. They had to get rid of Nathaniel Hackett. Now, I need to make this clear. You have a lot of people out there saying that, going on and on and on about how they knew that this was going to happen. They're full of shit. Plain and simple. They are full of fucking shit. Okay, that's plain and simple. They're all a bunch of liars. There's three entities, at least on video. There's other people out there, but very few. So I don't want to say that nobody. There's three people on video on the record, and that was myself, that was Shadowban, and that was Rich Eisen. That said, this isn't not going to go the way that the narrative was saying that it was going to go. But I don't think all three of us knew that the Zeppelin was going to crash as fast as it did. Boom. Not even us, even though we knew how bad this organization was. And I think that is a problem on the national level. But we've been following this organization for years, and the mismanagement. We've talked consistently about the mismanagement and that it was going to rear its head. And we were, nobody else. We're on record. Anybody can go check. Our people that have been with us from the beginning know that we were the ones that said that this was going to be the most flammable coaching staff in Broncos history right now. This one right now. Hands down, bar none. This was going to be the most flammable, and it didn't take long for that to happen. So I even, got away from what I said. I just figured that the new ownership was sick of writing checks. They're going to have to write more checks, based on the mismanagement. So right now they're talking about, well, we're going to have to evaluate Peyton. But this is the thing. I'm just going to say this flat out, right out, because nobody else, none of those other people that claim that they knew and all this, they're full of shit. You even have people that they want to pat themselves on the back for being the best fan since 1960 or whatever it was that they were fans. Means nothing. They deleted their channels, their information. Now they're telling you, they're lying to you because they're liars. That I've always said this. Yeah. We took so much crap when we said it at the beginning of the season. And we're on record. You can go read their comments. They're all there. All the people that said they supposedly knew that Hackett wasn't going to be here. But we heard about the energy and the players basically running the team, because that's why they got rid of Fangio, because he was trying to be a head coach, even though tap, 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 But this is the question that I think every Bronco fan needs to ask from the ownership, bypassing everybody. And as a fan, I'm going to speak for a lot of fans right now, because the turd polishers out there who have made excuses. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago it was front office excuse making, and these turd polishers leading the charge because they don't want to lose their parking pass. But I'm going to speak for a lot of fans right now. I'm going to demand that the ownership answer this. I don't want to hear from George Payton. I don't want to hear from any of the trust people from the old trust. I don't want to hear from 8 turd polishing platforms out there, okay, or people who claim to be fans, okay, for so long. I don't want to hear from any of you. I want to hear this from the ownership. I want the ownership to explain who sat in front of you as owners and sold this $250 million bill of goods, okay? Who was the architect of that? I'm betting it was the guy with the biggest office who hides behind onion layers, who had this Let's Ride video, who comes out after being on a search committee telling George Payton he can't, no, you can't hire Dan Quinn. That search committee needs to be, the light of day needs to be shown. on that search committee. George Payton, tap, 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 tap. No. The guy hanging out at, has the biggest office hanging out during the draft. Tap, 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 tap. No, 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 no. That better go. That better not be allowed back into the building making decisions of any kind. Undermining everything. Signing Gregory. All this, back to Menelik Watson, and then, of course, the excuse writers. Oh, that's such a great deal. It's the same ones that told you they knew this was. And I just want to say this to any fan out there. If you think that this problem is strictly a head coaching problem or strictly a George Payton problem, that members of the trust had been there for 7 years, the architect of all this dysfunction, if you think that this is strictly a head coaching, you haven't paid one bit of attention. If you think this is strictly just a quarterback issue, you haven't been paying attention. And I would strongly urge the ownership to take a look at some of these other organizations and how they're running it, how they're building it, how they're developing players, sticking with a culture. And I know you're a corporation, but you better bring a family culture in as an organization. Walmart may be one thing, but an NFL organization, it better be family. That's the tradition. And I don't hear any of these turd polishers talking about any of this because they're not. They're just going to say, oh, I told you so. Oh, really? Let's play the film from the offseason, the beginning of the season. Let's play your own words, you friggin' liars out there. All we did was try to tell you the truth. All we did was try to give you reality, and we just got nothing but a hard time for it. Oh, you're no fan. Well, we're fans because we knew this wasn't going to cut it. And this doesn't meet the Pat Bowlen standard. We stuck by that standard, and we'll always stick by that standard. So I'm just making a video just to put out some truth out there. You better stop listening to a bunch of liars continually leading you to the next so-called narrative that you're supposed to swallow and believe. Because, you may not like the message, but it's going to be a while before. I don't know, who are you going to get as a head coach? I want to know that. Sean Payton, you really think that he believes that this mess, that's front office mess, is not going to get taken care of? I have to know. As fans, I wanted to know who was the guy that sat down, who was the architect, the number one guy, leading the charge to sign Russell Wilson, to go after Russell Wilson, as opposed to maybe not giving all those draft picks, developing Drew Lock. He gave up on him, getting rid of starting with Rich Gangarello, throwing all that out, getting one has-been after another. Who's the architect of all this? I can only think of one person, and the guy who's hiding behind onion layers. Stepping down, meaning stepping up. I even made a video. It's great when you're the boss of you. Spending other people's money. If I wrote a check for $250 million, I'd be pretty pissed off right now. I would. And that guy who talked me into that, he would not be in any way making any more decisions from here on out. And believe me, I believe that person, you could follow the breadcrumbs of has-beens, oversigning, overhyping, paying a media to make excuses for all your bad decision-making. That needs to go too. You need some real ownership. You need some real criticism. Not a bunch of window dressing. Not a bunch of excuse-making. Oh, we always knew that Hackett was not going to work out. Oh, you did, huh? I would encourage everybody to go, before they scrub their files, go listen to their videos, go listen to their narrative. Listen to their narrative and how this was such a wonderful deal to get Hackett, because they were all just standing up for Elway's decision. No, Dan Quinn. I'd like to hear Dan Quinn, what we would have to say. I'd even like to hear Fangio, what he would like to say. I'd love to hear these people. Oh, no, you signed a non-disclosure. No, yeah. But I'll tell you what, that ownership, I demand the ownership tell the fans who sold them the $250 million bill of goods. Whoever sold it. No, it's funny how nobody's asking that question from the ownership. Who actually sold you that bill of goods? Was it strictly George Payton? I doubt it. I mean, tap, tap, tap. You can't hire Dan Quinn. If you can't even hire Dan Quinn, how in the heck are you a part of this $250 million boondoggle? Whoever sold you that better have their bags packed. They're no longer allowed to have an office at Dove Valley. If they have an office at Dove Valley, when they sold you that $250 million bill of goods, I'm sure they're spinning it right now. I'm sure they're spinning it. Oh, we just need to find the guy to fix him, somebody who understands him to fix him. Why would you went out and got him in the first place? You laughed at Seattle fans when they told you this guy has problems. You said that the front office for the Seattle, who look like geniuses now compared to you, and the national media was just laughing at Seattle, just laughing at him. Yeah, there is no hiding it now. There is no. I'm just going to say this to the ownership. You better shut off that mouth that's running, who's trying to spin this $250 boondoggle. You better shut it off. You got the same mismanagement that give you that. You better shut that spinning. No more talk, no more. We got to figure out how we get out of this mess we got talked into. Now, I'm going to give the ownership a pass because it inherited a complete mismanaged situation with the trust. The trust was a complete mismanaged situation. Okay? We tried to explain this. Well, you'd think, and only a few would look into it. And it was like, wow, yeah. Everybody else wanted to put their head in the sand and make excuses. And then the media was hired. All these platforms, all Elway's buddies, all lined up, covering for the guy that had the biggest office. And we just made a video, who was responsible. Let's ride in a scooter. What's up, boss? Big office. And then he puts out a video, which I think is a disgrace. Oh, we wanted his little enclave of outside consulting. We wanted another coach. Oh, yeah. It's not according to Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn said, no. His people said you, Elway, were responsible for that. If the GM is not even allowed to hire a head coach, no, tap. Pick players in the draft. Where you front row, John Elway, front row. Just hanging out. That you just hang out there. I think the ownership knows what's going on. Was sold a bill of goods, and we were Troy Aikman. Let's give Troy Aikman credit. Last year, he's the one who said, "Who sold us this bill of goods?" And we picked up on it. We were the ones that kept saying bill of goods with the Russell Wilson deal. Seattle fans tried to tell you, and you all laughed at them. The front office obviously knew what was going on, and you said they were the dumbest people in the world. Now they're geniuses. Because you people didn't know shit. You didn't know what the hell you were talking about. You just ran with this front office, this disaster. So I just say to people out there, you want to keep being lied to, you just keep listening to those platforms. I've said this so many times. We said that this was going to be the most flammable coaching staff of all time in Denver. And it was. We said that this front office needs to go. Now they're finally getting it. And like I said, if I'm an owner, and I said this, but this is what I said. And I said, if I'm, before the guy running the whole show, you have Ellis out there. Yes, Mr. Elway. Yes. He's not meddling. Yes, Mr. Elway. He's not meddling. And all he did was meddle. Stepped down. He stepped down and went into got himself an executive, football operations and running the whole thing. Well, I think that's going to come to an end. Because, I mean, like I said, as an owner, You come to me, and I want to know. I want to know who actually sold that building. Who was the? Sure, I'm sure Peyton signed on to, but I don't believe for a second he was the number one guy. I want to know who the number one guy was leading that, because that person does not deserve an office at Dove Valley. He needs to be as far away from any decision making possible. And thank God for Kaiser not giving him ownership. Yeah, Elway said he didn't want it. Yeah, he had to say that. If he didn't say that, he would have been taken to court and Kaiser would have won. Thank God that didn't work out. I don't know if this current ownership is going to be any better, but maybe they can bring people in with a clue. And again, I say to the ownership, you need to take a look at these winning organizations and what they've done over the period of time, how they built it up. It's not all about, it's never just been about a princess quarterback. A hint. That's just a hint. You build, and then, look at Philadelphia. They know their identity. They got the GM, the coaching, the scouting is all on board. And they've been building and working, and they don't need Russell Wilson, even though they wanted him. They're probably just, thank God we didn't do that. Now they realize, you put the player personnel around the quarterback, and eventually maybe you get some guy that, is proven, starts proving. Not, not just, he did good in college. He's the franchise. No, I don't care what you did in college. You got to prove it. Plus, you got, and then to be fair to the quarterback, you got to put, they got to go into an organization that's functional, not dysfunctional like this one. So and I'm just going to conclude with this. You had two things, and we talked about in the off season. You had a quarterback that's really at the end, and then you have an organization that doesn't have a clue. Number two. So you have nitro and you have glycerin coming together. What did you expect? And we got so much shit for that. And I think we deserve a lot of apologies from people, considering all the crap we took and how right we were from the very beginning. But of course, these are people that don't have a problem lying to everybody. So we know that'll never happen. So it's going to be a long time. You got a big process to go through. There has to be a complete cultural change there. And again, you better look at the successful organization. It's not about a princess quarterback. It's about building it from the foundation up and sticking to it, and family and everything else. This is clearly a toxic environment from the front office to the locker room. And it's not going to change until it's blown up. They better blow it up. How could you not blow it up? That's it.